Doomsday 3.
We had Doomsday 1. He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix, most especially, of course, praying for safety and got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass to the ball. You better get to the ball. I just gotta say, when it comes to former Dallas,
Different.
For sure, and they would have thrown it off because
this guy gets off you.
And then I go to bed every night like, gee, man, I promise you that we got a What is up, Cowboys Nation? It's your boy Mike Tag here, man. Hope everyone's doing good. It's a Sunday. Greg and I are usually in the morning, but, things happen. Maybe we're sleeping in. It's about that time, the time change and all that stuff. So we're doing a special evening show. So make sure if you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. I want to say thank you. We have gotten over almost 300 new subscribers since Thursday. So you guys neither must be loving these videos or something, but we love you guys and love the company and love talking Cowboys football. So definitely, if you are new, hit that subscribe. If you're a returner, appreciate the love. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Greg, it's been way too long. We've been a little hiatus, a little break, but how are you doing, my man? How's everything going in your cave?
doing good, man. Doing good. Just trying to keep up with all these free agency pickups and who we signed and who left. It's really interesting.
It is. Yeah. And the latest was obviously Cooper Rush going to Baltimore. Kind of odd. I thought he'd leave. I didn't think they were going to re-sign him, but Baltimore just doesn't seem like the best fit for him, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe they're desperate. They're looking at their backups and they're saying, well, what's the best backup we can get out there, not have to pay a whole lot of money, but somebody can just come in there and be consistent and just play like, and then they saw Cooper Rush. He was available. And I guess whoever's available at Cooper Rush's level, he must have been the best among them for the price.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And so that leaves the Cowboys, Will Grier, who I've always liked Will Grier. I don't know. I've always kind of liked him. He was at Florida, went to West Virginia, put up some good numbers there, and was with Carolina a few years and kind of bounced around as a backup. I like him, but I also, I did my mock draft. If you guys, my latest one, if you guys didn't see it, check it out. But I got the Cowboys drafting a quarterback, late, late in the draft, maybe 5th round. I like McCourt out of Syracuse. I don't know if you feel the same, or is there, what's your thoughts on drafting a quarterback? And you guys, even in the chat, what's your thoughts on drafting a quarterback this year?
Absolutely, we need to draft one. Now that Cooper Rush is gone and Trey Lance is still on the market waiting for somebody to pick him up, we need to draft a quarterback. Will Grier, I'm not sold on Will Grier coming in and being like a Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Because where we get is minimum got to be like a Cooper Rush. Will Grier isn't there yet. The few times I did see him, Will Grier takes a lot of risks, unnecessary risks, thinking that the ball's going to get there sooner than a cornerback does, and it doesn't. Yeah. And so I would think that we would get a quarterback. Now, the guy out of Syracuse, he should be like in the top, if not 7 quarterbacks out there that should be really looked at. That game against Miami.
Well, we know what happened there.
Was very impressive, let alone all the games they played prior to that.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Now, unless they had the most dynamic team around them to help them do that, that guy should be high on the scale on draft day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. The other one, I know, Game Time Brian. What's up, my man? Love his channel as well. If you guys ain't subscribed to that, you better ask somebody and go do it. But taking yours, I think that's kind of like the fan favorite if you like Texas. As you know, Brian, I ain't a fan of Texas. I love that Miami slapped them around the Cotton Bowl. I'll never let them forget it until we play again. But he's one of those guys. He's got some mobility. He's got this, that. But I'm just telling you, the kid from Syracuse, he can sling it. And I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with yours. I think they need to take a quarterback. I do think they need to take a quarterback. And they're going to have to take one in the 5th because top 3 picks. I need some dogs. I need some playmakers. They don't have a 4th. Now they could trade up and they've got some compensatory picks that they could kind of package up if they want. Hopefully they get back into the 4th. But yeah, I think you've got to get a quarterback.
You do. And I'm not sold on Ewers. I just think that when I saw him with Texas, there was a lot more about the Texas team itself to me that was winning for them than it was really relying on Ewers. I'm not sold on Ewers. That dude from Syracuse, smooth, confident, and most people didn't even pay him much attention during the season. All he did was go out there and win. Very confident.
And people forget he's Ohio State. I mean, he transferred from Ohio State, if my memory serves me correctly. So, I mean, he was heavily recruited, went to a big school, but like anything with the transfer portal, it's about the bag and about opportunity, and that's what happens. This is an interesting one. Famous Jameis. I mean, again, from Florida State, which we know he brings some excitement, but he brings a hell of a lot of turnovers with him. So I don't know.
A lot of turnovers. He'll go down in the hall. He'll go down in the Hall of Fame for turnovers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Game time. Milroe. I'm not a fan of. He's one that you could see the Cowboys, like if he fell, like the Cowboys take a flyer. I'm not a fan of his, and I'm talking to George Teague a lot and about with Bama and stuff. I don't think he's ready for prime time. Now he's a guy that if you wanted, and I hate to always go back to Cordell Stewart, but if you wanted a guy that was kind of like Flash, and you have some plays, some gimmick plays that you can do. He's got great speed. He's a mobile quarterback. He could still throw it a little bit. Accuracy's not all that there, but he's a guy that you can bring in if you wanted to put some, set of plays in. But I don't think he's a NFL caliber quarterback. I don't know. What do you think?
And he reminds me of David Palmer back in the days that used to play with Alabama. And see, my brothers, they know David Palmer because they grew up with him, and we called him Papa Cherry back then when he was going to Jackson Olin High School. But that's who Milroe reminds me of. And then he got with the Minnesota Vikings, and he was like a utility guy, punt return, receiver. He was good. Every now and then, they gave him some slash plays. But as far as the starting quarterback, Milroe's not ready. He's not ready for that. And this quarterback draft is really not that thick. But you'll never know when you get down in the 4th and 5th rounds if there's a quarterback that a lot of people haven't been paying attention to, and he comes in there and he turns around to be another Brock Purdy. You'll never know. But you won't know that until you get him, and then you have to install them. And if the team has a decent offense, that's when you might find out you got a diamond in the rough that you didn't even know was out there. But other than that, that Syracuse guy, Cam Ward, Shador, right after that, my list goes blank.
No, it goes down. Guys, I got to put my old man glasses on because I can't see the chat. See, Kelly usually does the chat for me. I hate wearing glasses, but these are my readers. So these aren't even glasses or cheaters. That's what happens when you get old, Greg. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but when I hear people say, "Hey, Mike, love your show," I want to make sure I could read it. So Danelle's talking about, and I'm going to be honest with you, Danelle. I don't know the Indiana quarterback that well. I haven't watched a lot of stuff on him. I'm not into that conference as well, but I will say one of my guys that I know well, Steven, he is high on this kid. So I will promise you, Danelle, I will do my research. I'm going on a cruise on Monday, so I got 5 days. When you come back to the show next Monday, I'm going to have a full analysis, in my opinion, on him. But I honestly, I don't know enough, but I at least wanted to acknowledge your question and appreciate you for supporting the show. And I do think, Andrew, we need to groom. We need to start grooming a quarterback. If you look at the Cowboys and the quarterbacks that they had drafted, there ain't many. I mean, think about some of the quarterbacks that they've drafted. It's like Mike White. Who else do we have? We had the other kid from A&M years ago that they got. I mean, the Cowboys, and the crazy thing is, and I don't think they'll do it in this draft, they haven't drafted a first-round quarterback since Troy Aikman. I mean, that is just insane. And maybe it's not. Maybe I think it is. Doesn't that sound crazy to you?
Yeah, it does. And they didn't know that Dak was going to be as good as Dak was when Dak came out and took over. They had no idea. They drafted Dak because he was, I guess, the best available at that time. They wanted a quarterback to put in there, but I think they really just had him as a backup, not expecting him to play for the next 3 years if Tony Romo stayed healthy. And then all of a sudden they got a big surprise, like, whoa, we spun the wheel and got lucky on this lottery ticket and didn't even know it. And it happened to turn out that way. Other than those 3 quarterbacks that I mentioned, that whoever else comes up, if they show out in the NFL, it's going to be the luck of the draw that nobody saw coming.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. Now, I got to ask you guys this question, and also in the chat, and I see a lot of new faces in here. So, again, all you new guys that subscribe and check it out, you're coming back from War Man, we appreciate it. In the Cowboys Cave, we have, obviously, we do a lot of live shows, do some pre-recorded shows as well. So we try and have some fun with Cowboy fans. But going back to, because I always love this, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott. So I always have to go back to the playoff game. And when the Cowboys were down in that playoff game against Green Bay, were you wanting Tony Romo to come into the game, or were you at the point that it's Dak's team, ride or die? That's the way it is. What was your thoughts, if you remember? I remember that game, and I know my opinion, but what was yours? In the chat, I'm curious.
Oh,
Dak's rookie year, they were against the Packers in the playoffs, and they were down early. And there was chance for Romo and thoughts of Romo getting put into the game. Did you have any thoughts of Romo being put in the game, or are you riding with Dak to the end?
This is the one they played in Dallas, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dak's rookie year.
I heard him talking about it as the game went by, but I was so focused on us trying to win that game. And if not for that, I think it was a 4th down play that Rodgers threw, and the receiver caught it on the sideline and barely got his toes in. If not for that play, we win.
That's when we came. Dak had that monster 3rd, 4th quarter, like half a third into the 4th. But I'm just telling you, and there was a couple of people that answered, some old school guy. I wanted Romo in that game. And to me, it was nothing against Dak, but I just was worried that the lights were getting a little big. And I know that's to say that you're saying, well, geez, you wanted Romo in there, lights getting big. Doesn't sound right. But Romo, at that point in his career, and it just really sucks for him, the injuries took its toll, because I think he was getting it. Like that year, you remember the year, like the year with obviously the Dez Bryant and everything that happened, and then the injuries. He was just really starting to figure, like, just mastering the quarterback position. And you only get so many opportunities, like like we could attest to lately. I wanted Romo in there. There was nothing against Dak. I knew Dak was kind of the guy of the future, but want it now.
Right.
It was I'm guilty of saying I wanted Romo in there.
Well, see, I go back to the Green Bay game in Green Bay in the playoffs when we're up like 21-0. And I'll never, ever forget, my brother called me. We were on the phone, and I remember when they handed the ball off to Murray.
That was it.
It was wide open for a touchdown. And a defensive player barely stuck his hand out and fumbled. And I told my brother, I said, Jim, that right there may be the play that changes this game in the momentum. And it did. But then Romo did what Romo does and drove us down the field. And actually, Bryant got a touchdown, but the referees weren't skilled enough to understand that was a touchdown, and they took it away from us. But that's what you get out of Romo when it comes down to those last minutes and those drives. When he came back after the injury and he played against Philadelphia in the last game of the season, and we really didn't need it, but he came out and threw that touchdown to Terrence. And right then I said, let's get Romo in the playoffs. Let's let Romo play in the playoffs because he's back. But Jerry had already made his mind up. He saw a new fresh penny. He didn't want to change anything. In fact, he was already telling Romo behind the scenes, hey, the ship has sailed on you. This is our new shiny toy.
No, and I got it when it happened. I mean, they were on a run, and it was yet Zeke and yet all that. So, I mean, I get it. And Donnell, I would tell you, the fans would have been pissed off if they found a way to win. And that was that the Packers? No, it wasn't. They lost. I think they lost the next week to Seattle, which I think we beat Seattle.
On the
I think
fumble.
we beat Seattle
On the fumble kick, on the fumble.
Yeah, it was a wild, crazy game. But looking at free agency and first of all, what is your thoughts? Because Greg and you guys in the chat, what's your thoughts on free agency so far? I mean, are you happy with what you're seeing out of free agency, or are you underwhelmed? I mean, Greg, what's your thoughts? And then we'll definitely want to get the chat involved, and I'll share my thoughts as well.
Well, number one, compared to what we did last year in free agency, which was nil, I'm happy that we went out there and we got aggressive. However, I would probably give them a B-, and this is why I say that. We got some quality players. However, we got quality players that have been moving around that just haven't gelled yet, and I'm just hoping that this is the stop that brings their best out of them. And all I want out of them is the best that they got for 2 years. Yeah. The best that they got for 2 years is all we need. We got some free agency picks this time, and I have to look at them and say, kind of solid, but I'm concerned about their background and why we were able to get them. But this may be the reason they collect them and they decide, you know what, we're in Big D. Yeah. And boy, everybody wants to play for Dallas. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to put my best, because some of these guys are first-round talents. So the Solomon Thomas is solid. I like that. But the rest of them, they're good. I know why Jerry Wooden got them. Probably the best free agency picks he can get for the cheapest dollars that he got. At least we did something that we didn't do last year. We got a multitude of them, and the free agency isn't over yet. I give them a B-, but if these guys give us 2 good, hard years, and the positions that he got him in are what we need, this will be one hell of a team coming out the gate.
That's what I mean. My thing is that I was going to say C+, so C+, B-. And when I say C+, I'm not being negative. I think what I wanted from this draft, and I've said it, are the guts of the team, that core, not the stars, but the meat and potatoes. I always like to say, I don't have another word for it, so I always just use that, man. It's just, down and dirty, simple, get some blue-collar football players in here. That's what I wanted. And then I wanted it in certain positions. I said, give me an offensive lineman, give me some defensive line, give me linebacker. They addressed everything. I wanted a veteran receiver. I'll say, hey, Paris Campbell's not the veteran receiver that I had in mind. So I wasn't really excited about that. But like you talked about, Solomon Thomas, man, he's solid. Now, is he worthy of the number 3 pick 7-8 years ago, whatever it was? No, he's not. Turner, he's coming off. So he's had a lot of injuries in his career, so you don't know what you're going to get with him. I'm telling you, Javonte Williams, I just say this because my brother's a Broncos fan, and he watched him his whole career. He said he looked a lot better last year than those numbers will show. It's just kind of fell out of favor, but when he had opportunity, he still had the explosiveness. So I think that was a good pickup. The Miles Sanders, maybe it's just a body that just in case, the draft pick, if, whatever doesn't work out or whatever happens. So I'm not worried about that one. I love the linebackers. Murray, I thought, was a solid pick. I mean, he's a starter in the NFL for 5 years. I don't care what anyone says. If you're a starter for many years, in the NFL at linebacker, people say what the hell they want, man. You're pretty damn good in what we need. And they get blue collar guys. They didn't get the huge names, and I didn't want the huge names because we have the names.
Right.
We need the draft for the playmakers. So now get us a receiver, get us a running back, give us an edge rusher. Cornerback is now a priority, which we'll get into. But that was my thought on it. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, and the guy from Buffalo, that's a big pick. That's a big pick. So
his dad played for us, I believe. Yeah,
and so we addressed the positions we needed with, like you said, not top brand names, but these are lunch bucket guys who can get the job done. And what you got to remember is these guys didn't just get picked up in free agency by any other team. They got picked up by the star. Yeah. No matter who they are, they know what that means. Everybody in the league would like to play for Dallas Cowboys. And these guys are going to bring the best that they can bring to the Cowboys. Their motivation level and confidence level went so high when they found out they're playing for the star. So I expect big things out of all of them. Now, I don't know when we get down in training camp if all of them make it through. I mean, we signed them for a year, this and that, but I'm hoping that
you got to earn it. You got to earn your spot.
I'm hoping that they all make the team, because if they all make the team, that means they're showing us the best that they got, and they're showing everybody else what you lost. Because this, to me, was a good, I just say good, free agency, considering we didn't even do anything last year. Looks like somebody with Jerry on that staff did some quality picks this time, albeit people that got some tread on them, but some quality picks in free agency. And we haven't even gotten to the draft, and we still haven't finished free agency yet.
Yeah. And you know, people forget, obviously, Dante Fowler. How do I leave him out?
I talked about him.
That was a great pickup. Double-digit sacks. That's going to be good. Oh, and you got to think about the guys they signed, right? They got Osa back. Look at what Osa's contract is compared to what Williams got. I mean, that's a pretty good value they got for Osa. I mean, a good value they got. The one move that they've got to do, and they cannot F around with it, to me, is cornerback. Yeah. If they can get a veteran cornerback, and I've heard Gilmore's name mentioned, I think Douglas might still be out there. Sante Samuel Jr.'s, I think he might still be out. They need a legitimate veteran cornerback. If they can get that, I'm going into this draft. I'm feeling great, because I think they're going to address the best player available, not reach, because that was a problem in my mock draft. I reached for a cornerback in the second because I'm so worried about that position, because you don't know what Diggs is going to be. When is he coming back? Bland should be fine. It was an injury, whatever. But you don't have a lot behind them. Carson was hurt. You just don't have a lot behind them. So they have the priority to me that I want to see this week, and hopefully it happens while I'm on my cruise, is get a damn cornerback, a veteran cornerback. To me, above any position left, that's where the priority's got to be. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right. And you remember in previous shows, I always talked about how they let Dante Fowler and Durant Armstrong get away. Remember? And you would always say, yeah, they were okay, but the problem was they didn't replace them. Yes. And I kept saying, Fowler is a beast. Him and Armstrong were beasts with Washington. And when I saw the news that Fowler was coming back, I had to go to another link to make sure somebody wasn't punking me, because you know how I feel about Dante Fowler. And the fact that he's back with us is huge, with him and Sam Williams coming back and being healthy. And I just hope that Overshown can get back around week 8 where he thinks he is. But you're right, in cornerback, we let some people out the door. And we've got to get a bona fide, experienced cornerback. Yeah, we might get 1 or 2 out of the draft, but they're not experienced, and they can easily be got in the NFL. We need an experienced one. I'm not too high on Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore, even though he's been there. I think his tires are getting slow, and I don't think that he's that cornerback we need to come fill that position. We need somebody else now. The Samuels that you mentioned about, maybe. But I just got to be another one out there that we're not thinking about, that the scouts see that can help us back there. But they get that, then we'll be nice and fine. But I'm telling you, when you said the one position that you want, that we can't mess around with it, the one position I want that we can't mess around with it under any circumstance is running back. Yeah. We have to get a bona fide running back. Otherwise, you beefed up this defense, and it looks like it's decent, but you haven't done anything over here to solve that running back position. Even if you draft one, I still say we need a bona fide running back. And if we get that, then we'll come out the gate looking better, because we need to compete with Washington. We need to compete with Philly. Even though Philly lost some people in free agency, Philly is still Philly. And we don't know what the Giants are going to do. We don't know what the Giants are going to do. So our situation now is compete.
Yeah. And worst case scenario for me, for the Giants, and I'm sure for you, is if they draft Cam Ward, that is not going to make me happy.
Me neither.
I'm not going to make me happy. Not going to make me happy, because I don't want to, I'm a Cowboy over a Hurricane, so I'll be not rooting for Cam Ward at all. And I don't like that, but that's just the way it's got to be. So let me ask you, the free agent moves, does it change the priority for this draft? Is there, to me, the cornerback is a concern to me more than, and look, I'm not killing him for letting J. Lou go. J. Lou's he was a solid cornerback for the Cowboys. Obviously had some injuries here and there, but $30 million, it's hard because you got to pay Bland and you're already paying Diggs. You're not going to be able to just have the highest paid players at each position. It's just impossible. But if they don't get a cornerback, then you've got to be looking in that first round. If the kid from Michigan falls, a kid from Texas, if one of those guys are there, you're almost going to have to take a cornerback early, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. However, if there's a running back there,
running back's deep though. It's so deep. I
know. If there's a running back there, then that's who you get first. But if not, we can get one later. Cornerback. If we get in that first round and we see there's some available cornerbacks out there that are solid, yes, I say take it. Because with those compensatory picks, those 4 compensatory picks, we still got additional picks. And lately, like the last 10 years to me in the NFL, the quality players that have been making a difference are coming from the 5th and 6th rounds that nobody expected because they're so hungry to want to make a team, and they're coming to the Dallas Cowboys. So get a running back first if one happens to drop. Now going back to the Giants.
Well, let me first just acknowledge we got a super chat. So we always want to show some love there. My man Chris, definitely appreciate it, Chris. He says, "Hey guys, if we don't shit the bed in the draft and stay healthy, I think we could compete for a wild card. I think they compete for more than a wild card spot. But Dallas is still far away. I don't believe they are. Chris, I don't believe they're far away from competing for a Super Bowl. I look at this team. They won 7 games with shit. Injuries everywhere. How they won 7 games is beyond me. The talent is here, and look at the conference. San Francisco, man, they're losing a lot of guys. They're losing a lot of guys. Minnesota, they let Darnold go. They get another guy. What'll happen with them at quarterback? We'll see what happens. Philadelphia lost 6 guys, good guys on their defense. Impact guys. Some of them impact guys on their defense. Barkley, go look at history. Typical running backs, when they run for that many yards, that many carries, they usually don't have that bounce back continuation into that season. So you don't know. Washington lost some guys. The conference is wide open. So I'll never. I don't think any team is far away. How about that? I don't think any team is far away. The NFL is not built like that anymore. So the Dallas Cowboys, if they made the right moves and they do well in the draft, get 3 starters out of this draft, playmakers, first 3 picks, I think they're fine. Now go ahead, Greg. I apologize.
Yeah, no, because I'm looking at the playing field. And all I could think about before free agency opened up was like, well, Jerry ain't going to go out there and do much. And if he does, he's going to go out there to 7-Eleven and try to get some cheap people that we never seen. But I'm shocked. I am. I was seriously shocked when I started seeing the free agents coming in. I was like, you mean to tell me he wouldn't got him? He wouldn't got him. He got him. I said, oh, somebody must be talking to Jerry. And I looked at who's being depleted from the Philly, who's being depleted from Washington. The Giants basically starting all over. Minnesota can't decide on who's going to be their quarterback. Aaron Rodgers still talking to him every day. Green Bay is the only one I can see out there that probably hasn't made any major losses, but we don't know what they're going to be like. And Chicago, they're in the flux right now. So I'm thinking, wait a minute now. I go from thinking this is going to be a real sorry season this year because we're not doing anything to wait a minute. We can seriously compete for our division.
Yeah.
And those 7 games we won last year could have been 9 if not for a block punt we should have left alone. And in the last second touchdown by Washington, we played hard with a backup quarterback. And most of the team depleted for injuries.
Yeah.
We are
well, that's right. That's what I say. Don't forget, this Cowboy team, the core of this team was a team that won 12 games 3 years in a row. The core of the team's still here. The core of it is there. Your superstars are still there. So a lot of people, look at the Cow, they love 1-7. It's, you have those injury things that happen. I mean, look at San. How come no one was talking like that with San Francisco, all the injuries they had. They got to pass. You know, sometimes it happens. It's unfortunate. Health is going to be the key, and that's it with any team. If you lose your starting quarterback, I don't care what team you are, more than likely you're going to have – if you lose them early, you're going to have a tough time. It's going to be a tough time. So I think if they can get a veteran cornerback, I would love to go into the draft just best player available.
Yes.
Don't reach. Just let the draft flow where it flows. And the reason you do that is when you make the moves in the offseason. The Cowboys have never really done that lately. Now they kind of have. So hopefully they have the luxury of not reaching and just getting the best player. Because to your point, if Gentry's there at 12, how do you pass him up?
Yeah,
now, I hope he's not, because I think the running backs are so deep that to me, a receiver is so important in the first round, because I think there's a drop-off, especially after the second round. If you wait past the second, there is a major drop-off in receivers, and you just don't know how the draft is going to go. So I would be happy. Yeah, you know, those aren't the cornerbacks that I want lining up opposite Bland. No disrespect to Elam or Izzy, but those aren't the guys that I'm banking my future on. I need a veteran to be there to make me feel a little bit more comfortable. More comfortable. So
because I'm gonna tell you, after Diggs' incident, I don't see that he's that confident anymore in his own game yet until he starts playing and forgets about his knee. Yeah. I'm real strict. I'm more confident about Bland, than I am about Diggs. I don't know. I just something about Diggs' situation. I just don't feel that Diggs is going to be the same Diggs that was playing his butt off before that injury. I think he's going to be a little gun shy, and that can hurt us. So we need somebody back there that can come in and help him out. But I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't be against getting the best player available after the first round, and knowing the chatter in the draft rooms about who wanted this guy that we got best available, and making a trade with them to get another pick and being able to pick up somebody coming up right after that. Because right now we got to think out of the box. We got to think out of the box in this draft. Just don't automatically go down in every one of our slots and pick somebody if somebody isn't the best available. And we know, if somebody's best available, that's not the need we have, but we know somebody else out there has been calling us for that need. Make them pay. Make them pay for it so we can go out there and get a couple of more. Yeah.
No, and you saw Diggs last year. Calm down, Ultra. Played very. He got hurt again, and it's all mental as well as physical, and that's the problem. And I'm not banking my future on it. I'm getting me someone. Now they can go draft a guy if they want to draft. You know, if Johnson's there, if Barrow's there, you know, if one of those top cornerbacks are there, I don't have an issue with that. But I'm not, you know, we've been there, done that with some of this stuff, and we didn't plan for a problem. And look where it got the Cowboys last year. They let all those guys go and didn't replace them. And then once you had some injuries, it was pretty much done. I'm not going with that again. I need a veteran guy, at least makes you feel good, gives you some stability. That's all I'm saying. And there's some out there that they can get, and we'll see what happens. So let me ask you, Greg, because this was a hot topic, and it always is with the culture of the Cowboys, right? So Tank Lawrence, you know, and I don't know if it was misconstrued, taken out of context, because he did tweet out a nice, you know, goodbye message to the fans. He's always been a very Cowboy loyal. You remember the kid that came up to him, wanted an autograph in a Giants jersey, and he wouldn't sign. He said, "You got the wrong jersey, kid. Go get another one." You know, but he probably had his feelings hurt. I think he wanted to stay. He didn't get a contract offer. He gets one with Seattle. Listen, I love Tank. I don't think I think anyone who's followed me long enough and followed the channel, Tank always has a special spot in my heart, because he was the first guy to retweet my video, and it went viral from there. And I probably wouldn't be talking to you, Greg, if it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So I have a lot of respect for Tank and a lot of love for him. He sent me his gloves. He sent me a ball. He sent me a helmet. He sent me and my kid to the Pro Bowl. So, he did so many good things that for him to say that, so much of me wants to give him a pass. You know, it's maybe it's just frustration, because I've worked in sales my whole life. And when I got fired or left a company, my mission with the other company was to put that company out of business. That was my mental mindset, that I was going to do it at all costs. So I get what he's saying. I wish he didn't say it, but you saw what Micah said. You saw what Osa said. You saw what Diggs said. You saw what Overshown said. You saw what Sam Williams said. All these guys coming out in defense of Micah Parsons, who responded to Tank's tweet. It got a social media a buzz, but does that make you feel better about maybe the culture of this team is like they got each other's back? Maybe Tank was a little bit of a problem in the locker room. There's rumors of him and Micah had beef. I mean, what's your thoughts on that whole thing that transpired?
Well, for me, the last 3 seasons, I have not been a fan of Tank. And
I know you haven't.
And since I met you, the last 2 seasons, every time you would bring up Tank, what did I say? No, Tank's got to go. Tank was a great player up to about 8 seasons. But then after that, Tank got slow as anybody else would. Tank got complacent. He got complacent. And he thought, well, under any circumstance, Dallas is going to keep Tank. And Tank last 2 seasons was straight trash. And that season against where we played Green Bay, I kept telling you all season, I said, man, I don't know where Tank is. If somebody didn't tell me Tank was on the field, I wouldn't believe he was on the field. And then he got run over like a freight train in that Green Bay playoff, and then had the audacity to say, oh, man, we were just tired. No, he's speaking for himself. He ain't speaking for everybody else. And then the rest of the team coming together, well, that didn't surprise me because the whole team already said during the season, we play for one another. But here's what nobody in all of the tweets and all of the media, I never saw one person say what I kept saying, and I tried to print it type it every time I saw it. The reason why Tank said what he said was because Jerry and them wouldn't pay him what he wants to stay on the team, and they knew his time had gone by. So he knew he had to get that parting shot, thinking, well, I wasn't going to win the Super Bowl. Well, you didn't do anything to help us in those last 3 seasons. And here's where he made himself a hypocrite, as though he signed a contract with Seattle because he knew he was going to have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
no, he didn't.
Ain't gonna happen there.
He signed the contract with Seattle because the change was a little bit better. He know good and damn well he didn't have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl with Seattle than he did with Dallas. And for him to come out and say that was disingenuous, because the only reason he really said it was because Jerry wouldn't sign him for the money he wanted. That's what he should have said. And then when he told Mike and them, if you stop tweeting more and play, no, Mike and them played their butt off. You were the one that was absent. You were playing hooky from school. And then come out and tell everybody, you're an NFL player, Pro Bowler. You got the nerve to tell the media, we were tired and we were worn out. Tank, I told you, Mike, for the last 2 seasons, Tank, to me, played like trash. He was lucky that he got to play this last season.
Well, let me ask you this, because you have a cave that, some say dominate mine, some say rival mine, some say equal or better, whatever it is. But you got a passion for your cave, right? You got a passion for it. So I've always had a pretty strict rule is if you're playing on another team, you got to get out of the cave. Mm-hmm. So I got gloves by Tank. I got a football. I got everything else. All this stuff. He's got to be out of the cave, right? I mean,
no.
I mean, he can come back when he sees his career's over, but does he got to leave?
No, Tank gave us some good years. Now, Tank, I won't take that away from him. Tank gave us some good years. It's just his wheels start to fall off, and he knew it, but he tried to hang in there. And I think Jerry and them kept him around these last 3 seasons because they didn't really have any other options, and they said, well, if we keep Tank, we got a veteran presence over there, and Tank could probably give us enough to hold our own because we got Micah and a few other players. But these last 2 seasons, Tank has been trash. I'm telling you, Tank got steamrolled. And I was surprised that he came back, that we kept him this past season. But then again, with all the injuries, you have to keep Tank. You didn't get rid of him. But this year, I didn't expect Tank to be anywhere near signing a contract with the Cowboys unless he signed for less. And I don't even know if Jerry and them would have kept him even if he signed for less, because his time had passed. And you're going to see when he goes to Seattle, it's going to be like those players that go to Cleveland for that last paycheck. Tank won't last but one season with Seattle before he retires. You watch.
Yeah. Well, I like Tank. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. As my man Frankie would like to say, I'm hurt. But I'm going to forgive him. I do have to stand by my rule of I bagged his stuff up. It's in my closet. When he retires, he will be back in the cave. But I can't have an active player. I can't have an active player in my cave because it's I think the mojo's bad. And I will be going to the Seattle Cowboys game in 2026 in Seattle. I've already marked that on my calendar. So wherever that is, unless it's in the wintertime, then I won't go. But if it's in a decent time, I will go. But hey, more importantly, guys, appreciate everyone hanging with us. Again, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe. I see a lot of new faces in the chat. Love it. Appreciate it. Show in this channel is really only as good as you guys make it. Only myself, Greg, Jimmy, Kelly. We could talk all we want, but if you guys aren't listening, supporting, interacting, and having fun with us, and it ain't worth it. But one thing I will say, if you guys are following Kelly K9 and you follow me, I've retweeted it. It's the bracket time. It's March Madness. So we are doing the Cowboys Cave Bracket Challenge. All you've got to do is go to that link, download it. It's on the CBS, which you guys probably have anyway. We're doing just $5. And the winners take all. We're not keeping any money, anything like that. And plus, I'm going to give a special prize, Cowboys, of course, from the cave. Now, I'm not going to give anything from the U because I just got my man Restrepo and got me a inscribed helmet, all-time receiving yards. And
not get rid of that.
So not getting that, but you're going to get something cool from the Cowboys. And so it's great. All you got to do is look on Twitter, follow Kelly, DM him, or I put the link out there on mine. But go check it out. If you don't have Twitter, you can message me on Instagram or Facebook, or you can go to Mike at Cowboys Cave. Email address, and you guys can do it there. But it'll be a lot of fun, man. It's all about just having a great time. So, and some smack talking, because we're going to have 3 or 4 weeks of shit talking in here, because we're going to look at the brackets and see who's winning. And we're going to call some people out who think they know more than me or Kelly or Greg or whoever else is entered in it. So it'll be a lot of fun. So definitely you guys check it out. So Greg, any other, you and I haven't talked in a while. So kind of where's your mind with the team? Where's your mind with where the NFL is? And you guys in the comments, if you have any questions to either one of us, ask away. And this is kind of like more of a chill, or last 20 minutes. What's on your mind, Greg, with these Cowboys?
Well, the two most notable players, and this has been on my mind quite a bit, the two most notable players that I'm really concerned about health-wise, if they recover and come back and they're 100%, we are going to be blazing saddles. It's Sam Williams and Overshown.
Yeah.
If those two can come back and they're 100%, we are going to be blazing saddles. But I'm really, really concerned because Sam Williams is a beast. Overshown is
he's a game changer. He's a game changer.
He's a game changer, and his whole presence and being how he was on the field made me so happy.
And it was infectious on the team.
Everybody. And to have those multiple knee injuries scares me to death, that this can be a guy 10, 15 years from now. ESPN does the best that never was because of these. But he's young. I hope he can recover from it.
He's dancing now. I saw him dancing in some videos. So hopefully he's doing all right.
He's expecting maybe week 8 to be able to come back. I'm thinking 9 or 10 so they can be safe. But if Sam Williams is recovering, he said he's
the X factor on that line. He is.
If him and Overshown can get fully healthy, man, oh man, we are gonna tear up. We're gonna tear up the division. And I love the fact that Jerry made sure that Brandon Aubrey didn't get away from us, even though some other people were looking for him, and Cavante got signed. Because I thought some told me he was gonna mess up and get rid of Cavante. And I was like, no, but they signed Cavante and they kept Brandon Aubrey. And I was like, those are.
Now, don't you think Cavante? they got to use him. He's never going to be like a 2 or 3, but they got to use him more in the offense. 15 plays. I mean, you got to he's an explosive guy. And so when I was talking about playmakers on offense, the Cowboys just don't have enough playmakers. It's like CD and everyone else. Now they can get the running back in the draft to be a playmaker, right? They can get another receiver to help, but you've got one already as well in Kevontae Turpin. And he's just a guy that makes plays, and you got to get, 15 snaps a game on offense, getting the ball 5 times in some form or fashion in open field to make some moves. He's one of those guys that's got to be, get more opportunity. Think he will in the offense with Shoddy?
Yeah, and remember I said last year a lot, McCarthy is running vanilla offense plays. He didn't, and then when he tried to do a gadget play or something, it was at the wrong time, and it was the worst gadget. But we got Dorsey. And if Dorsey's influence, because what I understand, he's going to be working closely with Dak. If Dorsey's influence is really taken seriously, and then with Shoddy, I think we're going to see some different schemes for Kevontae to get him the ball more than anybody else. He can outrun anybody. And if you get the ball to him in the gap or get him when he's open, it's over. It's lights out for everybody else, let alone the other receivers everybody's going to be plugging. So I expect Dorsey to be a heavy influence on Dak in getting Kevontae Turpin the ball, and Shoddy looking at other ways of being an offensive coordinator as well, and getting Turpin in those schemes so that we can get a good balance and use more than just his punt return and kickoff return skills.
That's what I'm saying. He's got, like Andrew said, I mean, he's got too much ability. He's got to get 5 to 8 touches.
Yeah.
I like him out of the backfield too.
Yeah, he played a good game against the 49ers.
Tosses. I mean, I like him out of the back. I mean, you got to be careful, right? He's 150 something pounds. You want to get murdered. But that's what I say. 5 to 8 touches, explosive plays, right? Explosive plays out of him. That's that's something that this team needs. The other thing I'm looking at is really, for me, is tight end. And Dak, I mean, you could go back to Romo too. I mean, tight end, Novacek, if you want to go way back. Tight end has always been a pretty important part of the Cowboys culture and really a part of the offense. Jake Ferguson obviously had some injuries. I was disappointed in him. I expected a little bit more. I understand injuries and backup and all this and that, but I expected him a lot more. I thought Schoonmaker played well. Are you comfortable with the tight ends, or is it tight end? If you see, Arroyo coming out of Miami, if you see one of these guys dropping in the draft into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, if you had to trade up, I mean, are you comfortable what we got at tight end? We also got that rookie, was it Van Ford? Yeah. I mean, how are you feeling about the tight end group? Because that's an area that we need to elevate as well next season, with internally, or we got to get someone to do it.
Well, we always been good on tight ends ever since Billy Joe Dupree and Mike Ditka, even Mike Ditka. And from that age all the way up, we've always Cosby, we've always had great tight ends. Ferguson is on that level if he can stay healthy. But you got to look at it this way. Ferguson didn't disappoint because of Ferguson. Number one, he got hurt. Number two, he had to play a lot of games with a backup who just wasn't getting the ball to. And then Dak didn't play his best opening the season up until he got hurt either. It was almost like something was wrong with Dak, either mentally or something that we didn't know about, because that was the worst I've ever seen him play. Now, if we can get a bona fide tight end, then I would say trade Span Forward, because we're not utilizing Span Forward a lot. And Schoonmaker is a good reception, possession receiver for us.
Yeah, good blocker too. Yeah,
Ferguson reminds me somebody on the level of Dallas Goedert, who we wanted, but Philly got him. So Ferguson is the beast if he can stay healthy. But go out there and get another bona fide tight end. And if you do, go ahead and think about trading Span Forward. But tight ends, all the way back to Ditka and Billy Joe Dupree, Cosby, and coming all the way up, we've always had bona fide. And don't forget about Witten. We've always
probably the best of them all.
and my boy Ferguson is on that level if he can stay healthy. And Schoonmaker, yes, he's a possession receiver. You know he's gonna get the ball, but he ain't gonna bust over people like Ferguson is. But go get one out there that can play like Ferguson. And now we got depth.
Yeah, and if you really, we had, not to change this up, but you mentioned it, so I got to say, hey, Doug Cosby, one of my favorites growing up, I had him on the Cave last season. We had a great interview. If you guys, again, we got so many new subscribers. If you guys are new and don't know all the things that we had, We do a lot of interviews with former players, some legends, Hall of Famers, Cowboy greats, rivals. Doug Cosby was on there, probably one of the better interviews. It's really insightful on that era and on that Cowboys team and kind of the decline. He was part of that decline into the Jimmy Johnson era. But I also say, if you guys are new to the channel, I'll give you two interviews. There's all great, but two of them you need to go check out. I know you guys are listening because I see Kevin Gogan's has been going up. Kevin Gogan, one of the best interviews. Eugene Lockhart's original first appearance. It's got to be the first appearance. Probably one of the craziest, funniest, I don't know how else to describe it without using profanity, interviews I've ever had in my life. And the look on my face and Kelly's face is priceless because it was all real and it was not what we expected, but he was honest. And it was fun. But there's some great interviews in there. Bob Lilly, Tony Hill, James Washington, Daryl Moose Johnston, Dave Campo, Barry Switzer. I mean, we have a lot of them. So anyway, just a little programming note, little plug for you guys, because I love interviewing former players more than current players because the former players get you the history, but they also have no filter. They will tell you exactly what they think of today's football and also what they went through in their era. And some of it was getting out of trouble with drug testing and things like that. You know, you got to do what you got to do. So anyway, it's interesting. But looking at the running backs that they got, just to kind of put a bow on some of this, because I saw, you know, we need a legit running back and receiver. Javonte Williams, I put a video. I know you're a Canes fan, so you probably got the same nightmares still that I have of what he did to our Hurricanes his last year at North Carolina. He was a monster and big playability. I thought Denver got a steal when he went in the draft. I wanted Cowboys to get him. He had a good rookie season, had some injuries, and obviously change of coaches and fell out of favor. But I mean, looking at him, looking at Sanders. Are you comfortable with the running backs, or do you like, hey guys, don't sleep on the running backs in the draft. Don't wait too long because we still need a game changer.
Well, I'm surprised that Deuce Vaughn is still on the team, and I don't take nothing away from him. But Deuce Vaughn is one of those back there in the running back committee that, if we go out and get another bona fide running back in the draft, there's no room for Deuce. And I don't know if we maybe put him on the practice squad or put him out on the market to see if somebody pick him up.
Yeah, no one will take him, but I think he might be gone.
And I think Deuce, I know it's a family thing with his father there, but Deuce is the odd man out for me. Now, I think Miles Sanders and Javonte are going to be very, very helpful for us because them wanting to prove to everybody that they still got in the tank and they're playing for the star. They know they're on the biggest stage ever. So they're going to go out there and they're going to try to show everything that they got as though they just came in the league. So I feel comfortable about those two running backs, but we need somebody fresh, young in the draft. We definitely got to get that. And if we get that, then I'll be happy with the running back committee because we have that. We'll have that depth. We'll have that new experience, those brand new wheels, and somebody bona fide. Don't just go out there and get somebody, Jared, because you want to take a chance on them in the draft, because that's a wasted move. But go out there and get somebody bona fide if they're available, and then our running back committee be fine. We got another offensive lineman, so that's going to help us. In free agency, we got another offensive lineman, so that's going to help us. And then we signed Hoffman, and we got these Brock back. And, man, we're going to –
I like our offensive line. I mean, it's not all pros on every position, but
we got depth. We got more depth now.
We got more depth, but they play hard, and it's like Kevin Gogan, was on our show a few times, and he talked about it. And you go look at that great wall, and I've said it a million times, but they weren't all first round pick guys. A lot of them were journeymen. A lot of them were cast-offs. A lot of them were guys that no one wanted, but they played well together, and they worked well together, and they were cohesive. And that's what I saw that in these guys last year when Martin was out, and you saw Hoffman and Bass and Beebe and Tyler Smith. And I know Guyton had some rough moments, but that's a rookie playing left tackle. I'm gonna believe he's gonna be a lot better next year with the experience that he had. Steele is the wild card, but Steele even got better as the year went on. So, I mean, are they going to be all pros at every position? No, but you don't need it. I mean, so many teams have proven it in the Super Bowl. You don't need to have all pros at every position. Hampton at quarterback or running backs, excuse me. He's one I definitely would keep an eye on. Here's what I meant to say with quarterback. We talked about it. Will Grier is the number 2 quarterback right now. I think they're going to have to draft a guy as well. They haven't drafted a quarterback in a while. So, Greg and I both kind of said, hey, get a quarterback. I like McCord. He likes McCord. I mean, but I know that the kid from Texas, Ewers, is a fan favorite, being from the state, playing there. So we'll see what happens.
And Jerry hasn't. Fortunately, Jerry hasn't been too keen on getting the fan favorite because he could have got Johnny. And he didn't do it.
Thank God he didn't do that. I mean, it was Johnny or Zach Martin. I mean, thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Jerry's not keen on just getting a fan favorite. Now, I tell you, when it comes to the running backs, I mean, not the running back, but the quarterbacks, the elephant in the room is Dak. What is Dak going to be like when he comes back? I don't mean physically, because I saw it and I said it all season last year. There's something, there's something going on mentally with Dak that I hadn't seen. He was throwing the ball in the dirt a lot, throwing them over people's head. He wasn't hitting the windows. He was throwing interceptions worse. There was something going on with Dak I couldn't put my finger on, but it wasn't that hamstring that he pulled. And I don't know what his psyche's going to be like coming back. He got paid. He's had a child. Is he going to come back playing complacent and happy with it? Or is he going to come back playing hungry? And these free agents and in the draft, is it going to motivate him to come back and seeing all the Twitter fare? Is that going to motivate him to come back and say, I'm ready to go win a Super Bowl now? I don't know. But I hope his mental state is far better than it was last season, because even before he got hurt, he was in a situation that I couldn't put my finger on. But I know it has something to do with his mental capacity because it wasn't right.
Yeah. Well, he had a kid and all that. I mean, hopefully that's not any reason. It shouldn't be. It should be a reason for you to be more focused. I think he's going to be back stronger. I think, obviously, it was a rough year for him with the injury, with the start they had. I mean, honestly, the season was spiraling out of control before he got hurt. I mean, it was kind of like they were 3-4. They were kind of 3-5, whatever it was. They were hovering around, and they just like, to your point, Greg, just seemed like they had everything together. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, in the offseason. Mingo is a guy that, we hadn't really talked about. I mean, they traded for him. He came in with Cooper Rush being a quarterback. What does a full offseason with Jonathan Mingo look like? He's a kid with a lot of talent. I mean, he was a second-round pick. I mean, he was playing the SEC. He's a big physical body. I mean, he could be a guy that, people are sleeping on, but give him a full off season, with Dak and with the receiving core and with the coaches, we'll see what happens. But I still believe they got to draft somebody. I'm kind of like, I think Jalen Tolbert is what Jalen Tolbert is going to be. He's going to be okay, but he's not someone that's going to take pressure off CD. You got Flournoy. I mean, he's young, raw kid. I mean, he's still kind of going. Brooks, I'm probably, move on from that. That's been here long enough, and you're not getting anything out of it. So, all of those kind of things just kind of, lead me to believe they got to get something at wide receiver to make you feel a little bit better. But everything that they've done in free agency, as far as position-wise, now you want to criticize a player, you want to criticize this, but it's like Michael Irvin said, good teams don't let go of great players. Michael Irvin only played for one team in NFL. Typically, guys aren't going to play on multiple teams. I'm half joking because the day we live in today with free agency, that's just kind of the norm. But, Micah Parsons isn't going to be a free agent. Dallas ain't letting him go nowhere, right? No. That's just so. But these are going to be mid-tier guys. But I talk about the kid, the guy from the linebacker the Eagles got from New Orleans last year.
Oh, yeah,
he was just going to be he was a special teams guy and was lucky to see the field if that's what it was going to be. He ends up being in the running for defensive MVPs and all pro bowler. He gets an opportunity and he's healthy and he makes the most of it. So you get guys in there that, like you said earlier, Greg, you're coming to Dallas. This is your chance to shine. This is your chance to get one more big contract because, right, they said what. So where's their mental state at? And I think that's what, you hope you get from some of these free. And then there's free agents. I'll use Philly as an example again. They got the kid from Buffalo. He had 10 sacks. He was going to be all this. They paid him $51 million guaranteed, all that, and he stunk. The guy that they thought was going to be the just a special teams guy ended up being the star. So you just don't know until they get in with the scheme. And Eberflus has a scheme. Some of these guys are going to fit in the scheme. I can tell you, I've had Bears fans come up, message me. One of them in my family. He's like, dude, he goes, you are going to love that linebacker. His motor is always running. You're going to get a lot out of him. So, I mean, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and everyone's going to have an opinion on it. So we'll just wait to see what happens.
And Eberflus is another good example that every defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator is not a head coach.
Yeah.
And sometimes a defensive coordinator is best as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So Eberflus should be the ticket for our defense, providing we give him a couple more weapons, cornerback back there, so that he can have the full potential of armament he needs to execute it. So defense, I'm really not concerned about because that's his specialty. Offense with Dorsey, with Shoddy, because Shoddy saw what Mike McCarthy was doing. And like I said, Mike McCarthy went back to those vanilla offensive plays, nothing really different, no West Coast and all that, what everybody else was doing different. Now Shoddy can bring in his own flavor. And Shoddy, I think, has surrounded himself with a staff that he doesn't have to worry about doing it all. I think he's got a pretty good, decent staff that's going to help out and be able to give him influence and suggestions that I think he will absorb. Because Dorsey, believe it or not, don't be surprised if Dorsey wind up at the end of the season moving up closer to the offensive coordinator or something like that, because Dorsey is skilled on the offense. And the fact that we brought him in under that title he's in, which I never heard of before.
Well, he's a passing game specialist. Game specialist.
It tells you that we recognize the talent that he has, and the fact that he's working directly with Dak is going to make a huge difference.
Well,
in that offense.
And what I like is the offensive coordinator by title, Clayton Adams.
Yeah.
He's an offensive line, Mike, right? He was offensive line, Mike. That tells me running the football. Schottenheimer, his DNA from his father, run the football, play action pass is what Dak does best. And then you're bringing in Dorsey as a passing game specialist. People forget. I know the joke is with him in Buffalo and he's slamming the iPad. People forget, he was with Cam Newton in Carolina, during Cam Newton's best years. I mean, Ken Dorsey also is a national championship quarterback. Of course, there's bias coming from the U. We're going to be a little biased. I'll admit that. I got no problem saying that. But, he's a very intelligent, smart guy. He's the one that, we've always talked about him being the Miami Hurricane coach. Yeah. He's that. Yeah. Eventually, he may end up being that long term, which I would be happy with. But he's a smart guy. He never had the physical skills. But if you talk to Andre Johnson, you talk to Reggie Wayne, you talk to Santana Moss, you talk to all the receivers that he had in Miami, they said he was a true leader and understood the game and the X's and O's and the play calling and everything. He's a smart guy. So I think he'll have a good influence on Adams and helping Schottenheimer. Obviously, the thing that I really like about what you're seeing with these coaches, going through the list, man, it's all pretty much fresh faces. I mean, there's not, you don't have a lot of
first name basis,
a lot of carryover. There's I don't see any carryover from, the previous regime. So you're getting some fresh eyes. I think that's good. Yeah. You're getting some guys maybe getting their first opportunity at certain levels, so they're going to be hungry. So what I like about this season with the Cowboys is it's been quiet. Have you heard from Jerry?
No.
I mean, there is nothing out there. Like, I love it. This is like a regular NFL team where we're focusing on football. We're not focusing on all the other crap that Jerry used to always do and all the others. We're focusing on football, and stay out of the media. Let your scouts and your guys handle the free agency and your Will McClay, and let's just chill and get ready for training camp and the draft, right?
Yep. Because last year, this time, Jerry's all over the media talking about, well, free agency. We're gonna. He ain't said nothing. He's quiet. And maybe, like we said earlier during the season, all this attention that he got this year, negative, and how the Philly fans roused him, and how it all came right directly to him on the dartboard, and it wasn't spread everywhere else. It was directly to him. I don't think he's faced that type of direct criticism from the world in a long time. And I think that right there alone, too, made him realize, I got to go out there and do something in free agency. And I'm going to tell you the biggest reminder, while I think helped fuel him going out in free agency early, getting these players, is watching what Barkley and Derek did, knowing that he had an opportunity to get either one of them, and watching the foolishness that the arrogant narcissist Giants did with letting Barkley go. I think Jerry realized, because he kept being thrown in his face all season, I see he realized when free agency opened this time, we're going to be prepared, and we're going out there to get some people, because I'm not letting what happened last year happen again this year when it was directly my fault.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like I said, it's welcomed, and it's a welcome thing to me. And what's really welcoming is, look, all you guys, man, 400 plus people been hanging out in the cave on a Sunday evening, which we've really never done a Sunday evening show. Usually it's in the morning. So the love that you guys have for the cave, the amount of new subscribers, like I said, over 300 new subscribers in the last like 3 or 4 days. It's so appreciative and so thankful. We love doing these shows. We love doing the live shows. Love doing all our recorded shows and keeping you guys up to date with Cowboys content. So again, so many new names I'm seeing in the chat. Definitely appreciate it. If you guys are new, your boy Mike Tag, but this is my man. I called you G-Reg. I hope you're all right with that. That's from Miami. You remember G-Reg, Greg Olson, so I had to use that. But my man Greg is part of the family. Kelly K9, Jimmy Dee, Uncle Cheech when the season's sown. He's our Vegas Insider. So all you new people that are just tuning into the cave, make sure you hit that subscribe. If you're just still thinking about it, hit that subscribe button. Don't cost you nothing. And then make sure you always like the videos and then leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if there's anything you want us to touch on, any comments on what we talked about. I love interacting through the chats as well. So this is a Cowboys Nation, Cowboys fan channel. That's what it is. I don't break down film. We're not doing any of that stuff. We leave it to the best guys in the business on these content creators that do it. We just love interacting and talking to Cowboys fans and a couple Eagle fans. We got a couple Eagle fans.
Yeah, I see Drew.
We got Carl, and we got a couple other guys in there. Yeah, that's fine. We'll definitely we don't mind the other opposing teams either, but definitely appreciate all the love. I'm going on a cruise, so I'm heading out tomorrow, so I will be gone. Jimmy Dee is going to be doing the show. He's got a special guest, and it's someone I know, so I think you guys will be happy. He's a good dude. He's from Florida, but is a Cowboys fan, so that bodes well that he's going to be fun. But they're going to talk a lot about the Cowboys, but also about the NFL in general. Our Monday shows are typically some Cowboys, but we do mix in some stuff around the NFL. So tune in tomorrow night to Jimmy Dee. Make sure they don't lose all the subscribers that I just gained over the last 3 years. That's the most important thing. If you don't like them, just turn the channel and say, hey, I need Tag back. I need Greg back. But anyway, we appreciate it, Greg. It's been way too long. Yeah. It's been way too long. I hate the offseason because we don't get a chance to talk about it. But I am, fingers crossed, going to be up your way soon. And when I am, I want to make a pit stop. Maybe we could do a live show at your crib. I would love to do a show from your Cowboys cave one time. It'd be a lot of fun. So, but you have a good week. You got any plans? It's spring break. Or you got any going? Or are you just chilling?
Just chilling, trying to avoid all these spring breakers coming down here, clouding up our highway and our beaches. But other than that, no, nothing special.
Yes. So, enjoy it. St. Patty's Day. I'm glad Michael reminded me. I did some this weekend. So all you guys be safe. Take an Uber. Don't be crazy. I know a lot of areas, and I know even this area, they offer free rides. they'll do a free tow within 10 miles. Towing companies, do not drink and drive. It is not worth it. And we've had 2 accidents just around right in a 2-mile radius of where I live, where we had people died on motorcycle getting in an accident. So it's not worth it. So definitely, you guys be safe. Have a good one. Appreciate all the love. Hit that subscribe and like on your way out. We'll see you back in the cave. Have a good week.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.